Give it a second. What's up, YouTube, and welcome to this awesome AMA live stream. Super excited to have the X NFT Collection with us, with a lot of their, founders and top members, and some other Uplanders here with us as well, who kind of initially introduced me to this project. I'm super excited about everything they're working on. I think these are AAA game developers working on really cool projects that will be coming to the Upland metaverse very soon. So we will be answering your questions as well. So let's first just start with an introduction. What is the X NFT Collection? How did it all come about?
Sean, you want to jump on that, bud?
Absolutely. So the X is really Dan, who's got his VR helmet on, and you can see him live in the environment right now in one of our gun ranges. It all stems really from Dan and his ultimate vision, but simply put, and we're going to unpack a lot today, so stay with us. We will release throughout every few minutes. There's something new that you'll be seeing and we'll be showing. This is 10 years in development. We didn't just get this idea a year ago or during the bull market and try to capitalize with a PFP collection. This is a vision and Dan's passion project. He spent his lifetime in game development, from Acclaim, right out of during high school, right out of high school, into Acclaim, into Activision Blizzard, and into the AR VR space. And over the last decade, over this long career, Dan's vision and dream was to bring an immersive and a game that was actually something more than just a button masher and a game that you would play and walk away and get nothing out of it. We call it play to learn. There's play to earn components to what we're doing, and you guys are going to love that. So stick around for the UPIX and what you can actually potentially earn as a result of playing the new mini games that we're integrating into our X Outpost here. But the X NFT Collection is about 9 legendary commanders throughout history, and those 9 legendary commanders range from Sitting Bull to Genghis Khan. And those are some of the leaders in the space, like Satoshi View and Sam Kuhn, who are also Uplanders, and they have Joan of Arc. And we have other legendary commanders like S.A. Acero, who is Napoleon. And these are all museum quality, and they're focused on history. They're focused on preserving history, and they come with a lot of built-in lore and a lot of story. On those stories are what Dan wants to, those digital memories are what he wants to resurrect and bring not only that education back and preserve history, but then be able to make it into a fun quest, a game, and into a community, into a metaphor that bleeds into 6,500 generative legionnaires, 6,500 actual NFT legionnaires that all carry traits from those 9 legendary commanders. So as we move through, that's the first legion and the first legendary commanders, and all of them are ascending on the metaverse, we should say, to play the quest, $150,000 bounty game. That is a high-stakes strategy game that will include in-real-life bounty and items, in-real-life items that are reflected. Some of them are in the mini games, as well as the actual the coveted title of the one legendary commander, but more importantly, that actual NFT itself. And these are all very high-end museum quality digital assets, digital collectibles that will grow and evolve because they're built on the UE5. They're built on, Unreal Engine. They're built with a UE5 blueprint by Dan and his team. They're very rich. They're very deep. And I'll let Dan kind of take over from there. But it's 9 legendary commanders, 6,500 legionnaires. The legionnaires carry traits from their 9 legendary commanders. You might mint out a legionnaire that's in the Sitting Bull cohort. You could mint out one that's in the Leonidas cohort. Or you could mint out, as S.A. Acero is actually Napoleon, you could mint out a Napoleon in the Napoleon cohort, and your legionnaire will not only have modern and futuristic traits from the one legendary commander, the whole collection, that's the baseline, but they'll carry unique traits from all of their legendary commanders, mashing up the past, the present, and the future to create a legionnaire that will give unlimited access throughout our outposts on Upland and other metaverses, but more importantly within Upland and our first mini games. Everything is happening first in Upland, and we're proud to say that. And I'm going to stop there because we could keep talking, but I'll turn it back over to you, Loyal Doyle.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We have a lot of people coming in, really excited. I want to let people know we're open to questions throughout. This is an AMA, but we're also showcasing this project. I think for many people here for the first time, this is an introduction. Lieutenant Dan here with us, who's showcasing this, has, you know, he's a AAA developer, like was said. Used to work on, you know, Call of Duty and many other awesome games, and this is his passion project he's been working on for 10 years. So, Dan, thanks for being here, my man.
Thanks for having me, Doyle, man. This is exciting. Being potentially part of what Upland's building is very exciting for me as well. Just Sean went into the background a little bit of our collection, and I believe we're something that's very unique, very different. This has been in the works for a long time, since I was at Activision Blizzard, even before that at college, and at Acclaim before that. You know, I always wanted to create something that can give back to the user and make them better. I want the user to be a hero in their own story. So when I started working on Spider-Man 3, I was teaching motion controllers so you can feel like the hero. When I was working on Guitar Hero, I wanted to put you on stage in front of the live crowds. I developed and prototyped the first live crowd cinematics that ended up turning into Guitar Hero Live, but that was a dumbed down version of what it was supposed to do. What it was supposed to do is give you courage when you stepped on stage. And did operant conditioning where you could continue to go on stage and build up that adrenaline dump control that happens when you're in front of large crowds. And the same thing with fighting. And I became an MMA fighter, so I understood how can I translate, you know, human machine interfacing to the body using motion controllers, head mounted displays, so I could really teach you how to fight. I always wished as a kid and as a gamer, starting from when I was a little kid, I always wish there was a game design or a game I could play that could help me learn how to fight and get out of the bad situations I was in. You know, I was poor, and all I really had was a game console that you know, took care of me. My parents weren't around really; they were on doing their own things, like most of us, and we escaped through entertainment. And games were a big part of our lives growing up, right? But I always wished a director would come along. And when I put down the controller, I would take something back. You know, I don't usually reference Lawnmower Man, but when you think about that and think about Ready Player One, and you think about where we're going with wearables and technology as a whole, where they're part of us, our phones are part of us. Soon the glasses will be part of us, and soon the gloves and other wearables. We already have, you know, wristwatches and all these other wearables that are tracking our biometrics and everything, right? Why not teach the user on these new technologies that are coming out and these wearables, but do it in a good, cool way, like we were trying to do with Guitar Hero, where you still had fun. There was still game mechanics, but it also translated into real applications. Like for Guitar Hero, and I'm going to go off a little tangent here. We were working on what we call Guitar Hero Phoenix, and it was some of the best guys at Activision in the innovations lab working on this. And they were working directly with Red Octane, which creates our controllers, right? So we were working on a new controller that had certain ergonomics and a certain setup on its buttons and its pedals that would, once the user would stop playing the game, we would put a real guitar in his hand and he would already know a chord. And it was at a basic level there, and that was over 10 years ago, that, whoa, okay, with motion controllers, with the ability to present an immersive experience, which is very highly inducive to learning as well, because it takes all your focus, all your attention, right? It really gets you all down packed with your body, and we can train them. The military was already doing this, right? They've been doing it for a long time. They already have IVASs. We're going to have all IVASs. A lot of people have HoloLens, right? The HIVAS is created off HoloLens 2.0 framework. We're going to have these HMDs, and the military's training with it, but there's so many things, not just outside of first-person shooter, that you can learn what wearables and head-mounted displays, where they're going. So there's... At an early stage, I knew I wanted to get in virtual reality 6-7 years ago. And I wanted to, I knew the metaverse is coming. We were already in it. All right. So 10 years ago, we're already doing augmented reality. Spiral. You see what happened with Spiral Skylanders? I was on the green light prototype for Spiral Skylanders, where we're taking game objects, real world objects, and bringing them into the game and then storing the game inside the real world. There was a blend happening 10 years ago. The metaverse is not just something that just popped up. It was growing. What happened is this explosion because of COVID and because of Facebook betting putting all their chips on the table with virtual reality headsets, that we had this explosion. And then cryptocurrency came. And then the blockchain and all these things started converging, right? And I really wanted to have a project that gave back to the user. And the first thing that I realized when I was going down this path, right when I was leaving Activision to go do this, to train the user to be his own hero, because you big companies won't do that. They're not going to give you skills that take you away from their games. I'm sorry. They don't want to. If I brought up training, which I did, for the user to become to actually learn how to be a soldier, to actually learn how to pie cut and enter and breach a doorway correctly, and how to learn on real guns and stuff, I'm outcasted, right? It was only through NFTs and where we're at right now with the metaverse growing to what it is, that someone like me, a director, is able to create this kind of content, which is really, I'm building an army. I'm creating the first fort in the metaverse. I think there should be a place where everybody's protected, and there's influencers and people that can make waves, right? Because voices are small. As a content creator, Doyle understands it's hard to break through the noise individually, right? We need an army. We need a collective that has a mission. And what the goal is of this mission is, first, I have to take you into the past, because all the great leaders and generals have learned from the past. Napoleon learned from Alexander the Great, right? He studied him. So same with Julius Caesar. They studied Sun Tzu. They got past George Washington, studied them all. Genghis Khan, however you pronounce it, there's two ways. They studied them all. And I had to show you the past. I want to digitally resurrect them. And that's what we did with Call of Duty Roman Wars. We digitally resurrected Julius Caesar and gave him a memory and recreated one of his memories as real as possible. And I think experience, just like Julius Caesar said, is the teacher of all things. And we can have experiences through the metaverse right now. And that's why we're here. We want to create an experience for the Uplanders. We want to connect our fort to Upland and Upland to our fort, and vice versa, so we can have traffic. I believe the metaverse should be connected. And I believe a fort can do that because it's a safety net and it connects, and there's not an agenda associated with this. I want always to bring to what the user needs. And right now, I think they need help. I think they need certain kinds of training just as a person. On the side, when people, I don't bring up a lot of the things I do outside of this work, but one thing I love kids MMA. So I teach kids MMA, right? And watching the kids, they don't even know how to walk. Their gaits are messed up, right? They don't know how to hold their shoulders straight. They don't even know how to breathe correctly. Basic movement mechanics, right? I don't even want to go into the details of physiologically how we can impact people by showing them with motion controllers how to correctly punch with a rotation. Maybe it's not the best thing, but it's better than nothing. Right? And that's where we're at as a collection. So let me just take you on a quick tour since I have this up. These are all of our generals. And I do have a big vision. This is a big vision, and it's more than just my vision now. It's everybody that I'm coming in contact vision. But I understand of roadmaps. I understand by taming that vision and going one step at a time. So we're trying to take one step right now. We're trying to get into Upland, which is, I think, the best metaverse out there, just by talking to you, Doyle, Satoshi, SA, all the boys, learning about Upland. I think this is one of the best metaverses to be a part of. And inside our fort, which I want Uplanders to come over to our fort, and I would like to bring extensions of our fort, a camp and an outpost to Upland. Inside ours is a war history museum. And one at a time, we're going to bring on a virtual experience. It's a short form 10-minute experience for each general. You will see what happened to this poor 17-year-old girl who believed God was talking to her and had such conviction. She impacted and influenced a whole army to fight behind her, right? And then they burned her at a stake. And a lot of that stuff is lost in the translation, but I want to preserve it, and I want to bring her memories back to life so we can learn from the impact. Genghis Khan, when you hear someone talking about him, he's a barbarian. He was ruthless. He's killed everybody. He's a tyrant. They have such hate towards this guy, right? But when you look at where he came from, his basically family slaughtered, his dad's poisoned, and his mom made a slave, and so was he, right? When he got older and he was pissed off because they took everything from him, he believed he was the punishment of God to the people. And you're going to feel his wrath, right? But that story, these stories are kind of lost. Sitting Bull, and the lighting's not that great. Actually, I can fix this right now.
And while Dan's fixing that lighting, everybody what's really important on the 9 legendary commanders, as I mentioned, S.A. Acero is, you're seeing it live. How cool is that? S.A. Acero is Napoleon, right? And Satoshi and Sam Kuhn of NFT Gamer are Joan of Arc. And we have other Web 2 and Web 3 innovators, investors that have invested in becoming the legendary commanders. So they've invested into this community because we didn't come out with the normal NFT mint model or, hey, let's come up with a PFP and promise everybody the world. What we did was we came in and looked for people that were willing to invest and actually put their hard-earned investment into staking and founding this community as legendary commanders. So they're not only just an NFT, and you're seeing the museum level where you can see the full NFT unpacked of the legendary commander. And these come with short immersive and growing immersive experiences with VR. But those legendary commanders also are what help us build this community and this project to give it legs and longevity, because they're not only investors and they're the holders and founders of these legendary commanders, but they actually help mitigate mistakes and help us write connections like within Upland. That's what it's all about. It's about building community, granting access, and more importantly, bringing more people in to help make great decisions to build a Web3, play to learn, gaming, blockchain, all of these things. When you put them together, it's a lot. It takes a village of smart people that are committed and willing to build and grow and invest even when there's no sign of return. And that's what we did with our legendary commanders. They're the founding. They're what helped take Dan's dream and vision of 10 years and over 7 figures in assets that were built to be able to take them and dial it into a simple 9 legendary commanders, 6,500 legionnaires. Those 6,500 legionnaires will carry the DNA of those 9 legendary commanders, which mash up the past and the present and the future, giving a unique legionnaire. And those legionnaires, again, we'll get into them, but they all stem from these incredible legendary commanders who also have great people and success stories behind them as far as who they are. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, we vetted and picked out commanders that can help our whole community, right? Guys that have been through the trenches, guys that, are now part of successful projects and want to help other people. They're motivational speakers, several of them, right? They're really good people that have an impact. And that's what I want. That's what we wanted from our officers of this community, right? And, we wanted to give them back some a piece of history too. So like when we look at like Sitting Bull, I mean, that's his life mask that's recreated. So if you look up his life mask, there's life masks and death masks were very interesting. I mean, that's how you took pictures back in the day, right? That's how they preserved their likeness, their looks. So Napoleon has one, Sitting Bull has one, George Washington has his life mask. The others have his death mask, right? This is Napoleon. So if you looked up his, we have an engraving and our interpretation of a material overlaying it. But if you look up Napoleon's death mask, you'll see it's a digital twin of it. And what's interesting about these is they used to say when you put on these masks, you embodied these generals, like felt their spirit. So this the same concept is like all the Legionnaires have a little bit of a spirit from each general, right? And we're hoping to bring them back to life one at a time. And people can enjoy the history, the rich history, not only from an art standpoint, a famous artist did his death masks, but also just like his weapons, different weapons. Big artists back in the day did the different designs on his weapons, and people are going to be able to appreciate that, because really a collector can buy this up and not donate it to a museum, and it just sits in his vault, and you don't get to see it ever, right? You don't get your hands on it. So we really want to preserve history for each of our generals. And then it's all also the museum is going to go more in depth where you can really see each piece, because we're broken up. I see each NFT that we're creating is like really almost 5 or 6 different NFTs all in one. So if you look at Napoleon, for example, each one of these could be its own NFT, right? His Baker carbine, his Traveler's pistols, his pocket pistols, his dress sword. It's a famous dress sword he wore at the consul. His Waterloo hat, which he wore at Waterloo, and it's the only hat that's actually contains it in the real world, contains his DNA, has a couple strands of his hair, so they can actually clone him if they wanted to. It's those kind of little details. No one really talks about his horses either, the mounts. I mean, Rico, which is Sitting Bull's horse, it was a circus horse that was given to him by Buffalo Bill. And when Sitting Bull got killed, it was a circus horse that was trained to dance, and it danced around him. And there's some interesting pieces of history that we're trying to preserve. But in the end, we're looking for him. We're looking for the one that's going to take us and show us the 5th generation of warfare, that's going to understand the metaverse. He's going to really understand blockchain, metaverse, cybersecurity. Someone's going to become the one, and it's going to be found. It could be an Uplander, right? It could be one of you guys. We won't know who does it, but he's going to lead this army. He's going to help us, and he's going to show us what's up. And we're going to arm him. We're going to arm him with the Jedi sleeve that's created by Jado, that controls ground drones, that has biometrics and control. It tells you your glucose levels. It tells you all these details. You can experience it in VR, what it's going to do for you. And then when it comes online, if it ever goes to the public, then you already have your hands on that wearable. But even if you don't have your hands on that wearable, you'll learn mixed reality right on the IVAS. What's interesting about virtual reality, it's an excellent mixed reality tool, training tool. So we can create all types of mixed reality experiences inside virtual reality. So it's like Inception. You can go a layer deeper, and people don't realize that it's an excellent training tool for mixed reality. And then we're going to show them what's going to come. We're going to show them the Vision 60 and what all these guys are doing with their ground drones. We're going to show them what swarm drone technology looks like. We're going to give them the Thor, the Stealth, and the Falcon. The Stealth you cannot knock out of the sky. It's an American-made drone. The Thor is an American-made drone. It carries the highest payload right now. And the Falcon is a swarm drone. And there's another one that's coming on called the Sentinel. And these ones, you're going to learn what these things are capable of and how you can get eyes on targets. And just in regular life, drones are going to be a part of everyday life. You're going to see more and more in the air, and you're going to see more and more on the ground. And I want to help train people on them.
Yeah, so let's give the Uplanders. I know some of them are probably a little bit overwhelmed with all the information, as I was when I first was introduced to this project. There's so much going on, but I think there's so much really cool implication that's coming and can be relevant to the Upland community. And a lot of this is like VR ready and stuff like that, which a lot of Uplanders are not currently doing. Obviously, most of us are on mobile playing the game on our phone. Realize like we all of us Uplanders are very excited about this whole like Ready Player One concept and where we all believe it's headed. And what's really cool is I think Lieutenant Dan here and this whole team, they've been working on this for so long. They've had this vision for so long. They've been waiting for the technology to catch up to their own vision. There's so much potential here. So it's not just a gallery. I've seen a few questions. Some people in chat are asking, is this just a gallery? Is this, what's going on here? So these are NFT collectibles, but these are real like AAA developers who are building this. There will be gaming experiences. So they're talking about learning experiences. They're talking about gaming experiences. I mean, this is really a company that understands the future of Web3 and the metaverse, because it's all of those things combined. It's learning, it's earning, it's playing and entertainment, it's wearables, it's all of these things. And pretty much what you have here is a company who understands all of those things and is building for all of it. So it's very futuristic, but there is many things that can apply to Upland right now, and that we're working towards right now.
Here's something that can apply, and I'll stand back after this. Here's something where we can play the Sky Runner right here. We want this thing driving. We want this thing in Upland racing. So this is one thing that we can bring. We have this digital asset. We have the schematics behind it, the physics behind it, and we can get these kind of assets into Upland is one way, and just share an asset with you guys. But we're also creating experience, and we understand that you got a lot of people are on mobile, and that's why our range that we're creating, you saw me in the VR version earlier, but we have a mobile version coming online faster than the VR version, so we can adapt to the platform you guys are actually gaming on.
Yes, one of the questions is, I still don't understand the gameplay. Could you please show us what the game looks like? And that's a loaded question, because again, there's future games that like AAA. So think Lieutenant Dan developed for, a game like Call of Duty, and he worked on those. They're capable of building those experiences. They're working on those experiences, but there can also be arcade level, more simplified games like the Upland can handle right away, that we can start utilizing all of these assets. And all of these 3D models already are really cool collector's items within the Upland metaverse that you could have, that you could showcase, that you could utilize. Colton says, can we see the range?
Absolutely. I saw a question too as I was as quickly as we were talking. I didn't get to look at a lot of comments. Somebody asked about different nationalities, right? And they are very different in different cultures, which are reflected across the 9, from Sitting Bull, Genghis Khan. But yes, there is in the future, there will be, but we're not here to talk about that today. But I want them to know we have Japanese, right? We have samurai. Legendary commanders. We have Muslim, right? We have Middle Eastern legendary commanders that are right. So we have more coming. And yes, an African king, warlord. Absolutely. Those things are all in the future with future legendary commanders, but that's definitely out in the future. Right now, we're with this 9 that we have that are, you can see them all on Twitter. And I'll just share with you, everybody go to Twitter and you can see how these are made, and you can learn more about the legendary commanders and the legionnaires on our Twitter, and it will unpack it for you so we can stay focused on the range.
All right, so here we're going into a current existing gun range. This is very cool.
So this is just a white room right now that we do a lot of our testing on. But just for the Uplanders, we added a little bit of decals and let you guys see where we're going. Now, this is our VR version. We also have the mobile version that's ahead of this one. So we really, and this is what's interesting is, with this already, the people that we're meeting that are Uplanders, we really want to hear from you guys, what you guys are looking for and what you guys would be most excited about. You see our genre. We're weapons, vehicles. We create digital twins, and we create really good physics and really good characters, but in VR, but outside of VR too. we wanted to first bring a range experience to you guys where they have a leaderboard so you guys could play it on mobile, and anybody that's in our VR range, we could compete against each other. Or there's also putting an outpost that actually has an experience where it's on mobile as well with a VR counterpart, where you guys are sitting at an outpost and basically you're just surviving at an outpost based on an experience that we've been working on called Strap Up.
One thing that was really cool that stood out to me is like the detail you guys are putting into your 3D models that I think a lot of other developers out there are not putting in that level of detail. Like, I mean, you're talking about actually being able to take apart one of these weapons, see the spring, see the, like, actually learn. And again, this goes back to where Metaverse has so much capability that people are going to use, you know, actual real world training. And many companies are already doing this. They're training in VR, simulating in VR to learn real world experience. And gain that real world experience. But some of their models are actually, you like can take the gun apart, see all the actual parts you can, and these are partnerships and many times with actual companies, like actual real world companies building these. So you could actually learn, you know, if you're into handguns or whatever, you could actually learn to take apart and clean your handgun in a virtual experience before actually even doing it in the real world, which I think is very incredible.
Right. And in addition to that, because our suppliers, people like Syndicus, which is made in America and is an actually only AK-47 made in America. It's an amazing story in itself. First responder, current active duty police officer. But with that said, yes, you'll be able to have access to real brands that has their digital twins, and you may get those minted out in your Legionnaire. So that's actually very cool too. That's part of the modern or the futuristic weapons. You mint one of those in your NFT. They're all different weapons. But here's the other thing. You're also going to be able to come into this gun range and throw a tomahawk, learn how to use a crossbow. So it's not just, again, it's not just guns and weapons. You're going to have legendary commander. You could throw spears. We have all that built. You're going to be able to, because Leonidas and them, they had spears, right? So all of those things are within the gun range. So it brings the past and the present together, and you get those experiences in the range. And again, this is just for demo purposes today, but all of our stuff is built and operating. And even our Upland game, which is a mini game, which will have a leaderboard and the ability to earn UpX, and the ability to, by the way, you don't need a headset. That's the other thing. We call this XR. You'll be able to do this in multiple environments. So you don't need a headset, and it meets you where you are with the tech and what you're willing to, where you are. I think that's very important too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love all the questions in chat. Yeah. What can you tell us about what the like first arcade type game experience might be in Upland?
So we want to bring a range experience, just like a top shooter. There's a lot of different little games when you go to a range that they play. They sometimes based on the numbers, so you just pick out the numbers on a target. There's a lot of different targets too that have their own little mini games on them. So we're going to pick out a nice little mini game that we can do that Uplanders can do on the mobile version to start off with. And when the VR one comes online, that they actually compete with each other and play together. So there'll be a global leaderboard, and it's gonna communicate with the Upland mobile application. It's also going to communicate with our VR gun range. But the mobile version's going to be out sooner, and is where you guys are at right now. So we're really working towards that.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Could you actually show one of those examples where you could see, because that was really cool to me, where I think it was the robot where you could actually see like internal parts, all the parts that make it up. I think that level of detail, I think, is exciting. Like that's not something that we're seeing in a lot of these, 3D models being built, where it's actually like real world meets the virtual world. And that's very exciting to see, like someone putting in that level of detail.
And Doyle, that's a big thing that too. Like it's hard, I could throw out so much, on this project because it's big, but I want people to understand just from the asset level what we're doing here, because even before the game, the asset needs to be created a certain way. So there's a lot of platforms out there. There's mixed reality. HoloLens has certain restrictions on its content. You're only about a certain amount of textures, right? You can't just you have to have your normal set up correctly. You have to have your sphericals, your speculars, all that stuff, your metals baked in its own texture. So when we talk about like just the asset in general, the asset has to be for multiple ways. So we can have it for mobile and we can have it for VR, and it can be showcased like this in this kind of situation in a highly detailed. So the assets are built for longevity. Most of our assets we're just rendering right now at 1K, and eventually they could go all the way up to 8K for our assets. We're building them for longevity. So throughout the years, as the screens get better, as the VR headsets get better, as phones get better, we can start increasing our textures, really throwing our material maps that are on all these assets. So this is made up of material in the Unreal Engine, and it has multiple textures that tell us it's specular, tells us it's ambient occlusion, all that stuff. So there's longevity with these as digital collectibles and digital twins. And then when we look at the detail, this one was donated by Ghost Robotics, and it's every piece and screw that makes up this Vision 60. So
you literally learn how to take it apart and repair it and all that cool stuff.
And that's what Skyrunner likes to do. Skyrunner is big, like on their Doom buggy that I showed you just a second ago. I'll bring it back over there real quick.
That we are bringing to Upland. That Skyrunner will be branded. You'll be able to get that Skyrunner in Upland. That's where we're headed.
So the Skyrunner, if you guys look it up, it was in the Ghost Recon Challenge several years ago. It's made by a company in Las Vegas. Stuart Hamill's their CEO. Now, this is an autonomous vehicle. Also passengers, 2 people, but it's an autonomous vehicle as well, and it flies. So it drives and it flies. And it's deployed right now with SOCOM. A lot of the people are training with this thing. And the way they created it is for, if it breaks down on you, you can fix it. If you're out there in the desert or jungle, it has all spare parts that are in its back compartments. So you can literally anything that happens, if this gets shot, if it takes rounds, you can fix it and get it back to driving so you can get to safety. And they want to train people on this vehicle, and they have a facility right in Las Vegas that you can go fly it. And as this partnership relationship it develops and grows, they want to create its own experience where you're just working on the Skyrunner and get a test drive it, and possibly like a bigger experience like they did with Ghost Recon. So there's so many opportunities with these brands, but at first we just want you guys to drive it and play around with it and enjoy it
and have fun. But that's utility, right? Utility is part experience, and our suppliers are creating experiences right online and offline for our holders. And you'll be able to experience, if you don't want to take these things and experience them in real life, but you'll have the ability, you'll have that access. And of course, you'll be a Legionnaire in the X, and it will only be available to those holders. So we're very excited about that access and utility that the Legionnaires provide.
Very cool. Very cool. So we also have.
Oh, those are great pics of the racing game. Yeah, of the Skyrunner and the racing game. I love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it tells you the details on the Skyrunner
in the racing game. I love that.
SA's got big plans to take over that racing.
Take it off some cliffs and parachute down. That's awesome.
Yeah, we want to just make the experience. We can, if we can help make the experience inside of Upland better, right? Better user experience. We already know that Upland is the #1 daily active users. It's where we just need experiences. That's what I learned from you, Loyal, right? Was that experience. If we can make, and that's what we're all about. It's about immersive, where you become the NFT. That's what our whole collection and our whole ethos is. And we're going to, and we are building those type of experiences all throughout, right, Upland and these key nodes. And we're very excited and bullish on that. But these are, again, part and parcel of the utility that you get as a Legionnaire holder. And we can get back to Dan rolling through the Metafort. And all these Metafort experiences, understand that Fortune 1000 and Web3, they're rushing in, especially right now, to start to create these online, offline. They're creating products that they're developing inside of Uplands that then make it into the shelves now, or make it onto your body as wearables. And we're really at the forefront of that. And that's why we're so excited about this partnership and our relationship, and really building something special to help build better experiences in Upland. And it starts with our mini game. But as you move through our fort, and I'll turn it back to everybody, when you move through our fort, you'll be able to experience and connect and have different experiences that only a holder of a Legionnaire would have. And you'll get special access. And of course, we all know that leads to, we all like swag and merch and airdrops and all that great stuff. But that's just inherent with sponsorship and the kind of, we call them suppliers. They're more like suppliers. They're important and integral. We have our own stadium. We're talking about naming rights now for that, where you'll be able to come in and join events. Because the metaverse, right, you have to be able to come and do things. So if we can bridge that with Upland, and you can do the great fun things in Upland, and then come over into our Metafort and do even more and learn about history, also even get accredited for things today. We had Sam Kuhn was just, who is obviously owns Grand Central Station in Upland. He's working on other projects, and he's live in real time talking to me about how to integrate gun training in Texas virtually, because they're moving towards that. And he wants to be on the forefront of it to teach gun safety and then get licensed. And then you do everything online and then eventually go in to do whatever the physical part would be. And that's what was happening live while I'm talking to you. And that's where we're helping bridge and to create the convergence of where brands and influencers, but educators, when Dan will show you some of those educators, and companies can let you touch. You can never do this. Go to a field and fly their drones. I mean, they would be, it's not even, it's cost prohibitive, but you can do it here and learn about it, and then eventually join a pre-planned event in the future that you'll have special access to.
Very cool. Very cool. So as Uplanders, as I mentioned when I was talking with you guys before, there's a lot of different backgrounds. There's some that are heavy gamers. There's some that are more heavy just crypto investors. Some people are asking, is there going to be a token? Is there tokenomics with this? Or is it more just about the NFTs and the experiences you get with them? What's maybe some of the utility you get from owning some of these NFTs? And I know there's different levels that you mentioned, like commanders, legionnaires, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, so you're looking at a lot of the utility, and I know we've touched on a lot of utility throughout this, from experiential utility to actual real utility within the Metafort, like getting access and having access to the Metafort and experiences in perpetuity, right? As a holder, but also utility in the sense that. And we can expand on that, but if there's anybody that has specific questions about utility, I want to move to the tokenomics, because we'll keep showing utility as we move through this. But another one on the tokenomics is, we are going to do a token, but the token is going to be designed to power the ecosystem, to allow microtransactions, and not so much because we're trying to create a tokenomics. We're trying to create, a token-driven project. That's just not the objective, and we think it will interfere with the gaming side of it in the future. So what we're doing is we will have a native currency that allows us in our ecosystem to allow easy trading and microtransactions for those that want to participate, and you have UPIX and things in that nature, right? But you're going to be able to ever use a credit card anywhere throughout. We already have NFT Pay rails. We work directly with the CEO of NFT Pay. We have unlimited what people can use a credit card on. So, we believe that you have to remove the technology out of the way, so you don't always have to have a token, which is important.
Yeah, so it sounds like your model is very similar to Upland, where it's like it's more about the game, the experience, and all of that, and not necessarily about just investing in a token or something like that.
Right. And the big utility, right? One of the utilities, and we call these utilities because that's what they are, is that it gives you the ability to play the quest game that Dan went in when he was in the museum and showed the quest for the one. There's $150,000 in cash, crypto, in real life, just incredible merch from our suppliers, as well as the actual NFT, which to build a legendary commander, just to put it in perspective, the time, the resources, the technology, months and months to develop those. You're talking, $50,000 to build a legendary commander. And all of our legendary commanders, by the way, bought in. Nobody got tokens. Nobody got incentivized or free legionnaires. It's just not the way that our model's built. It was staked by these and founded by these legendary commanders as we wrap up the final few that we're selling to by invite only key investors and innovators. Where this is going, though, as far as legionnaires and access, is that all the legionnaires, which, by the way, you can see those. You'll see those on the Twitters. You can see them in our Discord. We have a lot of legionnaire content, and that's the mashed up version. That particular the legionnaires, one of their main utilities is access to play the quest game and to be able to potentially crack the code, become the one, earn that one, because it's an earning. We're not going to say win. You're going to earn it through in real life, through social media, through Discord, through high stakes strategy, all of that woven in, searching for the one. And, our other experiences, while Upland is a lot different, little mini experiences and other things like the sandbox to be able to go in and crack a code, to find a scroll, to be able to then decode that you have to then battle some zombies, and because it's fun. There's all kinds of extensions to how we build this quest game. And while you still get all this access to all of these different experiences and suppliers in the fort, and ultimately that quest game is a big utility, we feel, right? There's something really big in it for those that want to participate and use their legionnaires to actually play the quest.
Okay, so yeah, that's a great point. So I think one of the most exciting things for gamers is that whole like becoming the one, or the Easter eggs, and that's that whole like Ready Player One kind of intrigue of like figuring it out to become the one, to solve the puzzle. So yeah, could you dig in even a little deeper on how that works and how people can even be eligible to work towards becoming, getting that, and what they earn if they achieve that?
In the game, in the actual quest game, it's really simple. All you have to do is hold one legionnaire. So that's a digital collectible. That's the actual asset, the legionnaire. The legionnaire gives you access and the ability to play the game. That's the simple answer. That's all you need, and then you just have to put the time and the effort in when the game is when the whole collection mints out and is revealed and the game goes live. You just have to participate and begin to play it and accomplish missions and decode. And, we're taking a page out of all of the most successful collections, right? Whether it's Bored Ape or whether it's Neo Tokyo with Alex Becker and Elio Trade, some of the biggest brains in Web3 gaming, or even many other successful collections that use scavenger hunt, Easter egg to keep their audience and to keep the people that are putting their hard-earned dollars into an asset, a digital asset, not a PFP. I hope everybody gets that this is not a PFP collection. Nothing even remotely close, right? This is a true Web3 business with a Web3 community with really extensive high-end AAA art. And those legionnaires are what give you access to play that game, and you only need one of them. And you'll always get all of the different experiences. Dan's walking you through the War Museum. You were in the Legendary Commander. There's going to be all experiences that are included for just legionnaires. If you're a non-holder and you come into the museum, you might have to connect and give us your name and your email. You might have, right? We might have actual things that are pay for play, little microtransactions like in the old arcade, right? But not our legionnaires. So all of these experiences are all part of the value of that digital asset. And because it's built on the UE5, it's an actual Unreal Engine UE5 blueprint. It evolves and it grows, and you become the NFT, and you get these rich immersive VR experiences, which we haven't shown them yet. We'll save it because we're in the museum right now. But Dan can take over from here and kind of show a little bit more of what those experiences will look like in addition to the Quest game. Go ahead, Loyal, but I'll let you take over, and you may want to cover something else or a question. I think we're doing questions.
Yeah. There's a lot more questions coming in. I've been sorting through some of them. Is there anything else that we wanted to show at this point, though, Dan, or are we just wanting to take questions moving forward? I think Dan, you're on mute. Dan got muted.
Sorry.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm open to either. You want to just see what the questions are? I'd love to hear what people are talking about. Like I said, we're here. We're here to be a part of Upland, so we want to hear from you guys. Like, what value can we bring to you guys, and what are you guys looking for? And we want to be a part of what you guys are doing over there. So.
So please start sending more questions you have in chat. Right now is a great time to get your question answered if you have any. And in the meantime, I would just like to say I think a company like this is really just, they've shown that they're willing to take feedback like from any of you here in this live stream and implement it, because they're kind of going along with us. It's not just their vision that we have to accept, but they want it to be a collaborative effort. So yeah, let's get some of these questions coming in.
Dan, can you play the Sitting Bull like a resurrection video so they can see what that immersive experience looks like?
Do you have it on hand by chance? Can you share your screen?
Is that
possible, Doyle?
Where's that video located? I would be able to share it.
Dan, can you just give
if you send me the link here in chat, there's I could pull it up.
Hold on, let me see if I could pull it up.
It's in the X NFT drive, Dan, and it's resurrecting Sitting Bull, and it's
Can you share that with him?
I will try to. I'm not sure if I have the authorization.
Okay, hold on. I'm seeing if it's on my machine. I have so many things open, but I'm gonna look right now.
Okay, so some of the questions coming in. Let's see here. Okay, can you talk about the experience of shooting? What point of sensitivity can we imagine in relation to the weapon weight, shot recoil, tunnel vision? Okay, so we got some people who want that in-depth detail of the gun handling.
Yeah, so I mean, for the gun handling, there's going to be two different things, but if we just talk about the motion controllers, right? So we're building this. It's going to be testable on Quest 2, which we've already showed up at a few different events. We were at SHOT Show, if you guys are familiar with that. We were at Epic Shoot, and we were just at CanCon, and we had everybody, Glock, SIG, Daniel Defense, all the boys and girls, all testing our range. And what we do with the motion controllers is we add some weight to it. So physically, when you pick up a heavier weapon, we automatically give you a little weight. It almost feels like your controller's weighted the way we apply the physics to your movement. So you'll know right off the bat if you should handle this gun with two hands or one hand, which will give you stability. If you go two-handed, of course, one-handed, it's a little bit more wild. And each gun has its own differentiators, of course. You know, from the small arms to the assault rifles. We have a lead weapons designer on the team. We call him Super Bazooka. Yeah, I wish he was here right now, but he's a veteran from the Air Force, a linguistic also, and he just is a master of our weapons. And we have a configurator that's tied to this too, so you can really look at the details of the weapons. So we have a configurator / visualizer that shows you glass mode, all the working pins of the weapons, all its working parts, and then inside VR we bring all those working parts and we tie it to motion controllers and get it as accurate as we can. What's great is we work with the brands. FK Bernal has one of the best PSDs on the market right now. It's a $6,000 field pistol and a PSD they have. And like Black Rambo, if you jump on his Instagram, you can see him unboxing it. So the FK Burnout, we have the actual ambassador for the U.S. is one of my neighbors, one of Jimmy Hess's neighbors as well. It's just serendipitous that we were lucky with one of our first sponsors with FK Burnout, and working with him to get the actual physics right too, tailored for that weapon is what we're trying to do with all the brands we work with. That's why we're bringing the real brands, so they can overlook and say, okay, this feels right. This looks, guys, this is as close as we could get it virtually, guys. Let's roll with it.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, some people are requesting to see some gameplay if possible. What we can see would be very cool. I think some of the immersive experiences that you already have are very cool to show.
Absolutely.
And then maybe question an exchange mechanism between the currencies. So if people could use UPX to some of the UPX they've been able to gain to get some of these assets.
Let's talk about that. What do you see, Doyle, with that right there, just off the top of your head? This is the why we want to get the community involved. We want to make it something that is appealing to you guys, not only from a gameplay standpoint, but from a whole standpoint. So I'm curious.
Yeah, so there's already some games that have been developed on top of Upland where they have created some type of an exchange, so you can send UPX from an Upland account to another like holding account, and then they will give you kind of that in-game currency for their game to then use over there. So that's one concept that's worked, and I think the community's happy with. Yeah, but we would love to hear from anyone here in chat, like some ideas, what you guys would hope and want from a project like this. Because clearly they're showing us right here they're willing to take and implement feedback.
And if you look at the screen, Dan was able to pull up one of the immersive experiences. And just to give you guys a setup while questions are coming in, this immersive experience, Dan has a theory, and based on tons of research that he's done and tons of conferences and talking to the leaders in VR, short immersive experiences, 10 minutes or less. There's lots of reasons for that Dan can explain. But this particular experience, this is just a minute or so of one of those 10-minute experiences where you'll learn from like a sitting bull. Exactly. You can wait, Dan, if you want. And
okay.
That way they could get the full experience with the music and everything. And we have these for all of our legendary commanders. And you're also able to experience these as a Legionnaire, where you can actually see it through the Legionnaire's eyes. So these are when we talk about short immersive experiences, you might learn how to hunt buffalo with Sitting Bull around a fire. It's not just about, killing zombies or going on an attack raid. Again, there's an actual educational process to this that's a lot of fun and very immersive. And these are the type of short immersive experiences we're referring to. So when people say, "Oh, what's the gameplay look like?" Right? That's a very legitimate question. You've seen some of it in the gun range, and that's how we normally interpret the gameplay. But with the Quest, remember, it's a strategy game. It's not just about VR or XR or it's about utilizing a lot of different multimedia, including social media and Discord and Upland and different mini games and different experiences across, like we talked about, Sandbox, and where that's the bigger game that everybody I know is snitching to say, "Hey, are you guys building something in the background?" We might be, we may not be. That's not for now to talk about. Right now, it's about that Quest, and that Quest will be a strategy game that requires you to think and requires you to be engaged, and it will work across many different metaverses. It will be interoperable, and it will be a strategy, and it will, again, ultimately lead to somebody cracking a code, right? Cracking the code of that vault to earn it. So it's not just gameplay like you're thinking. It's real wetware, too. It takes some wetware to play this game. but I'll turn it back to Dan so we can start this experience over and you guys could see. And you can go to our Twitter and see these for the 5 legendary commanders that have minted out. We have many VR experiences like this that you could see, that where we call these where it's just a short immersive experience. And you can see their spirit phase video for each legendary commander that's minted. Go ahead, Dan. And
yeah, so here's a preview. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Yep, it's coming through.
Yeah, so when we talk like Sitting Bull, for an example, Sitting Bull is a very interesting character from our history. I mean, he cared so much about his people. He all he wanted to do was he left America and went to Canada, and he just wanted to stay there. The Queen was nice to him, and he just wanted to stay there and hunt and provide for his family and his tribe. But the buffalo would run out, and he would have to come back over to America and cross our borders and go hunting. And when he went hunting, guess what? We had cavalry units waiting for him to try to capture him. He would constantly get into skirmishes. They couldn't capture him, so they started using other Indian tribes to scout and find him and hunt him. There's a famous experience where he was hunting for a buffalo where he got found, and they sent out, so they were at a standoff, and one of the scouts on the America side they agreed to one-on-one warfare. It was a young warrior against 40-something-year-old Sitting Bull late that was weakened by the winter and everything, and they went head on their horses, and Sitting Bull with his which we have a replica of his rifle too. He dodged the shot from the other guy and knocked his enemy right off the horse, ran up to him, scalped him in front of everybody, jumped back on his horse, and they went back over to Canada. They didn't fight him that day. So he went on one-on-one battle for his people. And this is the kind of guy that was really like, he just wanted his people to be safe and happy and well-fed. And he couldn't even get to that. So I want to bring back these little memories. And when people talk about the gameplay is, it's going to be there in one sense, but it's also going to be an experience you have. I think we're going to evolve from the way we look at games soon. It's going to be experiential, just like Julius Caesar. Experience is the teacher of all things. When you go down to the void, or when you go ride on the Harry Potter ride or something like that, you don't say that was a game as much, right? It was an experience I just had. And it could be just as more, if not more entertaining than some games. So I want people to understand, like, we're in the business, Mode Meta, the company that's with me too on our side, we're in the business of creating the most realistic virtual experiences on the planet. And we want them to be as real as possible to give you guys an experience that you'll remember and learn from. And that's the goal. So when we don't seem like we're so focused on gameplay, it's more because we're focused on the actual experience behind what the user is going to have during that, right? We don't want you just wasting time doing little mini games. We want each one to have an experience that's fun, but you're also gaining something for it. That's why our range, I think a range in Upland, we could teach you, basic. I mean, even on the 2D screens, we can teach you about different optics. There's a whole set of different optics that you can use to lead your targets and to hit them at different ranges and whatnot. So there's a lot of knowledge transfer through that. Now, do we say, hey, that's a game mechanic? It's more of like a learning education mechanic tied into a game. You know what I mean? So I hope I explained it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. One of the questions says, can the team elaborate on I think they saw a quote from her website or something. Join the quest to win $100,000 in cash, crypto, and gear. I think that's the whole becoming the one thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's it.
if you become a soldier, and we're recruiting, we're looking for guys that want to be, guys and girls and gamers that want to become a legionnaire with us and just have that loadout. Listen, the metaverse is here, and you're going to be eventually, Doyle, you even know this too. Everybody's going to have their own personas and their own avatars, right? They're going to be running around with the guys that make it. You already see it in the NFT community. This is my profile pic. This is what represents me, right? You guys are all going to have, even brought up, Doyle, like Upland's going to be bringing avatars to their platform, correct? Personas.
Yeah, it's on their roadmap that they released, that it's coming, it's in the works. So yeah.
So you guys are going to have your own avatars. You're going to have your own personas. We want to gear you out. Instead of walking with someone else's shitty gun, you could walk with our badass syndicates and actually have all of its pieces, all of its makings and everything, and be able to shoot it in these different metaverses. You want a helmet, you want an eye vest, you want a wearable sleeve, you want a tactical vest, you want armor, you want Julius Caesar's dagger on your waist. You want to walk out with all this great gear that we're loading you guys out, and that's what you want to become part of the quest. You get your Legionnaire, which gives you your loadout, and that's your weapons, those are your armor, that's your helmet, and then you could go search for the quest. And I hope it's someone in this room, that finds that, and because we want to we want to make a big difference, and if we even impact that one person to actually give him, the ability to lead and command even a virtual army. There's something to that I don't think anybody else is doing. And Ernest Cline did Ready Player One, and Ready Player Two is already out. But we were hiding Easter eggs way before Ernest Cline ever wrote that book, right? Us game designers, you could see Kojima, he hid shit in Metal Gear Solid. I'm sure Miyamoto hid stuff in Mario. I'm sure Cliffy B hid stuff in Gears of War. Sid Meier, Philip Rosendahl. All the boys, they all put these Easter eggs and hide stuff because they wanted to get back to the user. Maybe they find something. Maybe they find something unique. We have something really unique.
So something that's cool that stands out to me is like one of Upland's core vision drivers they have is like blending the real world with the digital world, right? And I think the work you guys are doing with the actual real world companies, real world weapon manufacturers, and actually being able to blend, somebody's favorite handgun that they actually own in the real world with, being able to use that in the digital world, I think is just really cool and unique. And it goes right along with Upland's vision there.
And Jimmy might be able to speak on this too. We have people in different countries that can't even touch a firearm that would love to learn on one, right? And it's not about learning, it's about weapon safety also. How many, it's intimidating to hold a weapon and a rifle. Even me, the more and more I'm at these ranges, I get a little bit more comfortable, but still you can make a mistake. Still, you're not holding the foregrip like as correct as you can. Maybe you can use your index finger to guide your muzzle a little bit better. There's so many little techniques that you miss when you're at the range alone. You need to almost be with an instructor and have your hands on it too, so you can learn.
I think somebody was. I was just kind of looking at the questions too. If you can hear me, okay? I know I spoke too much, but yeah, they were just asking, like, what about just a link between our sites? And that's the goal. Like, we want to call this is going to be, a Metaphor X outpost that, you can get as much experience as you can via Upland or through mobile. But if you want to go deeper and you want to dive deeper, we want to be that pathway or that conduit to go deeper into that, like, learning the weapons more, or like Dan said, this is just about being connective and trying to bring it together. And even the tokenomics, which obviously we touched on it a little bit, as far as some type of exchange currency on our end. And it would be the same thing for UpX. I'm sure we can, work through some kind of a, exchange or swap type situation. It's not about, because I see some people, like, I'm sure they want UpX And that was never on our mind when we entered into this. That wasn't something we're going after UpX. We're going after, money in Upland. It was to create this Metaphor X outpost and expand the universe for everyone.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think another great question is, we would like experiences that give utility and earnings potential for the assets we own in Upland, and that could also be your assets that also can be used in Upland, like we're talking about wearables that you can use, that you could represent yourself in Upland, because some of the wearables you guys are developing are some of the coolest wearables out there. So what are some of the earnings potential for people investing in these assets and playing with these assets?
I think all that we're kind of really just starting to discover the potential through for one, input from the community, the Upland community, and two, Satoshi, who's been a big part of that, introducing us. SA has been a big part of kind of making us more familiar with the ecosystem and what's possible. So for us, anything's possible, and if it's something that we see Uplanders are really interested in, we would do our best to make it happen.
Yep. And in the interim, what we do have on the docket and what's being built out is, of course, this mini game that will allow you guys to experience the gun range and, of course, on mobile, and then to be able to, I think Satoshi's coming on to be able to share to this, and actually a leaderboard that will not only be in the Metaphor concurrently, but in the game and in Upland. So that's all Upland focused, by the way. That's all Upland centric. It's not for anybody else, and it will allow you to be able to win UpX. And of course, what those look like and what numbers are, we don't have those answers, to Jimmy's point. That's what he was making a reference to. But that is going to be one of the first things that you're able to participate and do in this mini game that will be released in just a couple of weeks.
I think I heard some cool ideas too, just through being an Uplander or not, and potentially being able to see just a taste of a mini game, but then to be part of the leaderboard, you have to, become a Legionnaire or subsequently also an Uplander. So maybe that's something where we collaborate. If you're a Legionnaire, you should participate, or vice versa, in the ecosystem. So you want to be a part of those leaderboards, you have to, engage a little more. So maybe that's a driver for more engagement on Upland side and our side.
Yep. And we will provide in our very basic roadmap that we have as our meta paper, which, like anything, is a dynamic document and growing. We make reference to tokenomics, and we make reference to having 2 Legionnaires that you'll be able to stake to earn our native token, irrespective of what that's called and what those tokenomics look like. Again, it's really designed for our ecosystem, right? Being able to move around our ecosystem, and to be able to have, to the question, the ability to earn from that asset. We're also doing some very cool things in our mint to cohort feature, which is innovation in the smart contract, as well as a mint with an affiliate link style to be able to earn UpX or a Legionnaire for referring, let's just say, X amount of individuals that mint a Legionnaire. You'll be able to earn either a Legionnaire or the equivalent of a Legionnaire in UpX. And that will be an affiliate link tied to your Legionnaire, which follows you in perpetuity as you hold that Legionnaire. And as it begins to, and it hits that number for referrals, you're going to be able to yield. So by participating and help, as Dan says, we use the term, we're building an army, right? And armies grow, right? And revolutions grow from whispers and from people sharing things with each other, and peer-to-peer. And that's what the revolution of Web3 is all about. And Web2 helped us get here, and we're going to bridge that. So as people share with their friends, their family members, etc., they'll be able to yield a, again, to that question, they'll be able to yield a return for that. And also ongoing for the ecosystem and staking and the benefits that we'll bake in. And then if we want to turn it over to Satoshi, and he could talk about some of the roadmap vision of what we envision with UpX. But the mint to cohort, last thing I'll comment on, and because I touched on that, but I don't want to tease you with it and not share. We've done something very cool with that innovation with our dev team, where you can mint to cohort. So like SA Acero is Napoleon. He has the Napoleon Legendary Commander. And obviously, you guys are all one big family. So one of the innovations is you can mint to cohort. You can literally mint to, instead of it being a randomly generated, and you might get Sitting Bull, or you might get Genghis Khan, or you might get Julius Caesar, or you might get Joan of Arc Legionnaire with those specific traits from that Legendary Commander. You can mint specifically, and that's a special feature we're doing, and we're putting that in front of our pre-mint. We're putting all of our fam and our new friends in Upland in advance of our pre-mint to be able to do that mint to cohort. And that mint to cohort and you don't have to mint to cohort. You may say, man, I like the idea of the random generator and I want to see what happens. And you could always but that mint to cohort is a very unique feature. And also the affiliate link that gives you the ability to earn the equivalent of UpX or a Legionnaire for referring a certain amount of people. We'll release the details on that stuff. By the way, not next year, next week.
Very cool.
Mint to cohort Friday. So
we also have a ranking system too, which is interesting. So you could become an officer, you could become a lieutenant, you could become a lieutenant general eventually, and the commanders can control that ranking system along with the actual things that are happening in potentially Upland and in our fort. So you could gain rank, you could gain prestige, and the our NFT smart contract was built in a very creative way to have those to be evolving digital collectible that can actually gain rank and prestige and affect the metaverse
and value. And value to the question, whoever asked that very smart question. Again, how do we get value from this asset? Just like Dan said, to answer that question as well, right? An evolving NFT with a UE5 blueprint. Think about this. You're not buying a static asset. You're not investing in a static asset. You're investing in something that's going to grow and evolve over time and build value. I was talking with Loyal Doyle earlier, and he was sharing his thoughts, and I just thought it was so true. The epiphany about Fortnite skins, and I thought about the thousands that I've invested in Fortnite skins. And ultimately, it's locked up, the value, and it's there, but we can't, like Loyal Dole's like, man, I can't, people could be making so much money. They're no longer playing it. They lost interest in it. It's now kind of like a sneaker in your sneaker collection or something in a collectible collection. It's sitting on the shelf. Man, I want to move this asset. And our goal, one of our driving tenets, is to make that asset become more valuable, but you also will help it become more valuable.
And I think the Upland community understands this concept very well. When we invest in these properties, we're investing in the future value. It's the same way. Like Upland was created with this long-term vision, but there's not a lot of value we're getting right now just from owning a piece of land or a property. It's all what's coming, what's going to be added to it. And so I think we're very comfortable with that, being the case. I think we're all hungry for gaming experiences though, as fast as possible. Like that's probably the biggest desire from the community is give us something, give us some of that entertainment we can get involved with quickly and play and enjoy. And that's what I think gives these assets values, because a game like Fortnite had millions and millions of players, it's when you become really involved in a game, you do want to like represent your digital persona. So having this really cool skin is like then has value, because that's your representation in the game. That's a way to flex to your friends or whatever, or show off what you have. And I think that's the same reason fashion, is such a massive, industry, is because everyone wants to show off, their own fashion, their own persona, and that same thing is being carried into the digital world right now. So it's really cool that you guys are bringing this to, shooting games and things like that, which is probably one of the most popular genres of gaming. So I think people are hungry for a long-term, Call of Duty style game that has these, actual Web3 NFT assets that we can own and we can use. So long term, that's very exciting to all of us.
Yeah, and That's us, man. And we said, if we have an army, we're going to be building it for them. So like Satoshi, SA, if you guys want to bring, comment too, we're here to fight alongside you guys, so you guys have a different take on how you guys met us and why you guys think that this is a good relationship that's happening.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, like coming back into, starting Upland back in 2020 prior to, even fiat out, I had this, belief that one day I would, have have the opportunity to potentially build, further gameplay inside Upland. We all do love the monopoly aspect where you can, earn, crunch your yields and, pretty much grind your way to the top. But I guess for all of us, we were all looking for like this, gameplay that we all desperately wanted. And when I met this team, Mode Meta and the X, when I saw the game that they were working on, I said this was the one. And that was prior to knowing like anything that I do now, regarding Dan's prior history. It's just simply by seeing the beginning portions of it, I'm like, this has to enter Upland. So we thought, how is this possible, right? Because we're building on Unreal Engine 5, focusing on the VR aspect. So we had to figure out a way to integrate with Upland and their angle. And when it comes to Upland, as everybody knows, they do operate on UPX standard. So we'll be operating on the UPX standard when it comes to inside Upland. So that could be a variety of things like prizes, earnings. We're also expanding on further potential for earnings when it comes to these Legionnaire assets. So meaning if you have a Legionnaire asset, it could possibly help you earn further in Upland. But we haven't fully discussed it internally. So, once that's all, finalized, then we can get the info out. But realistically, for me, it's all about bringing gaming to Upland. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. But I'm very happy to be here and happy to see gaming coming to Upland.
Yeah, and can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Got it.
Nice. Yeah, so I would just add to that. I mean, I second everything Satoshi said. And, I was extremely excited, as you guys know, and still am, to have met this group of guys who, add a lot of value, I think, to their company. But, I wanted to approach it from an Upland standpoint. So that's why, we're trying to address it. How do we essentially take the input that we all have, because I think as Uplanders, we all think very similarly, and how do we use this opportunity with these superstar dev team? How do we use their talents and skills and apply it to Upland, so that we can all grow as a community together and essentially add value to our Upland digital assets. And so, we have this superstar dev team working on mini games, but it's just the first iteration. And, it's been a few weeks, and, essentially what I've seen is phenomenal. And, I think in the short term, we'll be able to share that soon. And I think you guys are going to be blown away just as I was. But it's just the first iteration. So here we have an opportunity to work with a fantastic development team to essentially, help guide them and game development of things that we're looking forward to, things that we want. And they're all ears. The great thing is that whenever I make a suggestion, things happen in real time. These guys are professionals, is what they do every day, and you guys have seen the quality. So things that I've seen even on a Zoom call, done in the background while I'm talking and describing something, it comes to life. So I think here we have an opportunity as a community to all essentially gather together, send suggestions. We're going to try to have a feature where we can take some of the suggestions and come up with a way to reward people for that, and essentially take our input and apply it to Upland. So we were, just on the face of it, I'm sure you guys have heard about these outposts and camps. And so we're working on molding this idea of having these outposts and camps and utilizing our digital assets and having them reflect something within the game, so that the digital assets that we all know about, that they're learning about them, but the digital assets that we want to add value to, here's our opportunity to add value to those and try to figure out a way to represent them within a game, whether it's outdoor decor items, whether it's our properties, the land itself, or the buildings that are on them, to figure out a way to utilize our factories and our showrooms in a way where we can not only use them, in other games, but we can use them in this game, or these games that are built. So hopefully soon we'll have some visuals for you guys, so you guys can see that. And also, well, there are a lot of things that are coming out in short term that I think you guys are gonna be very happy about. So I'm really looking forward to the next steps. But here is an opportunity, I think, for everybody, the Uplanders as a community, to all get together and provide some input to these guys.
Yeah, and for some of you, this may feel like somewhat of an early introduction because everything isn't fleshed out with the Upland partnership, but that's the reason why we're doing this broadcast, because get involved now. We want the feedback, because all of us want to create the best Upland experience we can create, and partnering with companies like this with all of these amazing development tools and assets that they can bring just makes Upland that much better. So it's there's a really cool opportunity for all of you to be able to give feedback to create the Upland and the game that you want to see out of this and the utility you want out of this. And so they're open to feedback. That's why we're doing this. So and also get involved with their project. It's very cool. There's not a lot of projects out there that are like this. The most are just selling NFTs with not a lot of follow through. So look at what they've already done and what they're continuing to build.
Thanks, Doyle. Thanks for that, man. And I just want to add to this. There's a dev diary that covers all of our development too. The longest dev diary that's been in development that I've known, and I was the first one that did a dev diary for Activision on several of their Marvel titles. I don't know if another studio did one, but as far as I'm aware, my studio's aware, I was the first one because I always had a camera. And you're going to see everything unfold in front of you. You're going to see our dev. You're going to see our struggles. You're going to see me in front of Ubisoft. You're going to see me pitching at EA. You're going to see me 10 years ago pitching at Activision. You're going to get a whole Shark Tank in-depth look at what it took to get here. And now you're going to see this, us trying to work with Upland, hopefully meeting with their executives and really making this a great relationship and growing. You're going to see all the workings. So I'm fully transparent. I have a camera. I record everything. Everybody knows. So you'll be able to see all that happens with this project inside the dev diary. There's full transparency. I don't censor any of it.
Very cool. Very cool. I love it. Love it. Any last questions before we head off? I did link to their website in the description below, so you can go there for more info, and then from there you should be able to join their Discord and all that fun stuff, Twitter, things like that.
If you want to follow my YouTube, VR direct for the dev diary will be. Sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Drop that link to the dev diary as well.
Okay.
One other thing, I know, we had a lot to cover, and we still have a lot more to cover. I mean, we can be on here for hours, but one of the things that we were going to do was a live minting with Set Sail. And so, Set Sails is an Uplander. He won the Legionnaire at a giveaway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he's very patient. He's chilling, listening. So
Set Sail.
Like it. So there's two things we can do. Yeah, two things we can do. We could send Set Sail. We can send it to him, and Dev will send it right to his wallet. We can do that today. Or if he wants to wait till Friday for mint to cohort, he could mint it, and we can record it and he can mint it to cohort to Napoleon. It's his choice.
Okay, I'm DMing him now, so we'll get his answer and we'll go from there.
Yeah, man. I love that name too. It's awesome.
I like that. I think that'd be cool if we could mint him live.
Yep.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, but we saw development happening live, adjusting the lighting there. We're getting some, shows these guys are taking action. I love it.
Speaking of lighting, Doyle, how do you get your lighting so good? Do you have a green screen background, or you're just lit up like that? You have a brick wall behind you.
Got double lights going. I can adjust it on the fly as well.
But before you came on, Loyal Doyle was talking about how earlier today, how it took so long to do that, because I thought it was a green screen too, but it's actually a real brick wall that he painted it. But it took you hours to do this or something? Because
I would never do it again. Like, unless it was outdoor and I could use some type of spray paint or something, but I didn't want to spray paint indoors. But yeah,
it works though, man. That's how you're able to get that lighting pop, so you don't have that green screen problem that I got.
Yep, it looks great. I told him that earlier too, man. I was like, you're gonna love Dan and his design style, because he designs on the darker side.
Yeah, I'm wearing all black today with a black wall. So
that's usually me too, man.
Hey,
that's my vibe.
One question I have for Sean and Dan and Jimmy. The question that I had was, do you think it would be possible when the game is the mini game for Upland is ready or close to being ready, to have some of these Uplanders who are on the call or who, register somehow to test your game?
I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be amazing.
I think that's definitely doable. We'll get some beta testers in there.
That's a great idea.
I think we'll communicate that with our Discord, our Upland channel in Discord, and let things so people know when it comes online, and try to get some beta links out there so they can test.
Very cool. Yeah, so we will definitely keep the community posted. This has been a great stream. I mean, really excited to see this project unfold. Excited to see who eventually becomes the one. I mean, that's a really fun Easter egg. I mean, this is a really cool, just exciting opportunity to chase and go after. How much cash do you win if you win that? So it's cash plus prizes, right?
Right. So the NFT's value is in that 35 to 50K range to build a legendary commander, especially the one, because it has some very exclusive items with it. So between the one NFT that you'll actually earn, that like you saw in the museum, right? In addition, there'll be crypto, cash, and that's going to be somewhere in that $100,000 range between crypto and cash, and it will be a combination of both. And that's all funded by our suppliers, and we're really excited about that. And gear mixed in there as well.
Yeah, I want to get this the Grizzly 47 in there. I'm talking to Syndicus. We just have to figure out how FFL will work with this kind of thing and transfer a weapon like that. But I mean, those are the kind of things that our partners want to be, donate towards this thing too, because the one's going to be, we want to make sure he's equipped with everything, so it's going to be very special, man. We're already talking to, hopefully getting this on actually streaming. The Dev Diary could go bigger and go on a streaming platform. We're definitely going to be pitching, and you're going to see it in the Dev Diary. We're going to be pitching to Netflix. So you're going to see that in the Dev Diary if that goes through. If that doesn't, we're going to go right to Hulu and some others. So you're going to see it in live, and whoever becomes the one, they're going to be in that series, and they're going to be on that streaming platform. So I'm hoping I'm hoping it's in this group because it's going to be real special.
Very cool.
Hey, one other thing. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So my phone is lighting up with the question I asked. And so in terms of game development, the mini game development, where are you at with being close to testing?
So we're probably about 30 to 45 days out from being able to test, maybe a little sooner. The holidays are also, you know, everything's like getting crammed up all at once, but we're going to keep everybody posting the Upland server, and as soon as it comes online where we got a beta test, you guys will know. We'll throw the link out there, give it to you guys. And whoever has VR headsets too, when that comes online, we'll throw out a beta link for the VR headset too, where you side load it. All right. So we already side loaded our range on a lot of people's, headsets, and the next iteration of the VR experience will have it side loaded for Quest and Quest Pro. And so if there's VR headset owners out there too, we'll supply them with a beta link for both.
Yeah, the team's building both experiences right now simultaneously. So the I guess like called the low poly game or the mini game that doesn't require VR is being built. It'll probably be done a little sooner than the VR, but a lot of you saw real-time testing on this video. That was Dan live in our testing grounds, testing out firing weapons range. That was real time, and that exists already. It's just not packaged into an Upland.
We're moving fast though. I mean, we literally just started dev on the mobile side, and we already have a playable experience already going. We showed it to a few people already. Either we're getting the thumbs up, like on the look, the aesthetics, but we're grinding. So we've already begun that one. That was on the fly. We only started that like 3 weeks ago, but what people aren't aware of, like when you in the gaming industry, 5 badass ninjas can do what a 50-man team can do. So when you got all this high level developers all working towards the same goal with the same vision all at once, you can spit out content very fast. The slow moving freaking Titanics, they can't do it. Like they are not agile like a lean, mean team that actually can take, and that's what makes us a little different. We can take your guys' feedback and be, it's called the iterative design approach. We used it on a lot of Marvel titles, and it's like on the fly, you know, this works, this doesn't work. Testing shows this kind of stuff. Let's make an adjustment, and we're on the fly grinding. Our guys are working on it right now.
Yeah,
don't have the red tape of all the studios and stakeholders and investors and all that crap. So, and that's what I like, because, and I mean, and it sounds like this kind of funding, kind of pre-sale and stuff like that, but it even this aspect getting in now is still gamified, which is cool. But that's what's funding things like a AAA Call of Duty style game to actually come about.
That's why the Legionnaires, the soldiers, are so big. They're the bosses. You know, they're the ones that are really making the decision. Our soldiers, our commanders and stuff. We don't have a VC firm. We've never raised capital as a company, and we don't have a publisher. And let me tell you, a lot of design choices get freaking side plated because of a big publisher and a big producer just says, no, we're going to do it this way because of the, for the financial gains. So
so the actual NFTs is kind of like the Kickstarter campaign to fund it and keep building, which is very cool.
That's why we're building the army first, man, guys. If you want to join us, you'll see my background. You see, I'll fight to the end I'm just a soldier in this, right? There's other commanders I'm listening to right now that own the actual the actual commanders, right? I'm one of their soldiers now, and I want to fight alongside you guys, and we're going to build this together. And I'm going to fight for you until I'm done. This is it.
So there's actually 3 slots left. Is that correct? To be if someone still wants to get a commander.
Yeah, 3 slots left. And the bad Genghis Khan, the punishment of God, he's there, and he brings wrath with him. Sitting Bull, people don't even realize the history of Sitting Bull. And I want these digital twins. I want these digital twins to be able to live like Love, Death, and Robots on a Netflix platform. They can take our digital twin because it's going to be the most likeness to that commander digitally that we can make. And that's why it's going to evolve. Like Caesar, the first one we're bringing to life, is evolving to exactly the way we think he's going to look, the way he used to look, using all sorts of photogrammetry and looking at the statues and making him come to life, the way he sounds, the way he works. So we have 3 left: Genghis, Sitting Bull, and Caesar himself. So If you got someone that's a potential commander that actually can make moves and help our whole space, the whole metaverse as a whole, that has a voice, that's one thing too. We need someone that can shout and people and is heard. So let you guys know there's 3 spots open to those too.
Very cool.
Talk to Blizzy Rizza, Sean over there, and hit him up if you guys think you found one.
Absolutely. And Legionnaires make it more accessible for everybody. Just so we're clear, you don't have to come in as a legendary commander. That may not be that may not be who or what you are or where you are. We get that. But that's why the first to fight, the first 1,500, and this unique mint to cohort feature that we're utilizing and giving people early access to that are in the Discord, in Twitter. We're giving them the mint to cohort on a Legionnaire. Those are those assets that are the legendary commanders are those 50,000 north of $35,000 assets based on time and resources and what it takes to produce them. The legendary commanders are those $8,000 to $12,000 assets, right? But those are $495 US. So it makes it very accessible. You could do it on
Legionnaires.
Yeah, for Legionnaire. So I wanted to clarify that so everybody didn't think, oh, this is, it's not legendary commanders. There's just 9 of those. So 6,500 legendary Legionnaires, and we're only doing, like Loyal Duo said, this is how we stake our community, and we build it with an army, with people that are going to be here and they're going to be with us on this journey. We know flippers are in there, and we're going to have that, and that creates a secondary market. But we're looking for a different type of person and a different type of. We're looking for actually the same type of people that are in Upland, right? For 2 years, the people that have invested in and staked and believed because your team kept working and building. That's what Satoshi told me when I first met him. He's like, man, but they just keep doing what they do. And sure enough, it manifests and you attract all these incredible people. And that's what the Legionnaires are about. And we're looking forward to that first to fight. And there's an honor in that. There's a special trait. It gives you more access and more utility. It's an actual trait in the blockchain on that Legionnaire. First to fight, you get special commemorative artwork as an extra NFT. You get $200 off the future mint price because they will be north of, they'll be up in the $695, $795 range in the future when we mint out the next 5,000. But this first to fight is that band of brothers. It's a very special first to fight, and that's a very important title for us. So there's a lot more included in that, and those Legionnaires are more accessible, and we believe there's a lot of value in that asset as a digital collectible, and and obviously it's already highly discounted. So we appreciate everybody's time today, their consideration, their great questions, their enthusiasm. We have more AMAs throughout the week. You can mint a cohort. If you get in Discord, you'll be able to mint a cohort. You can put your name on the list. We built an Upland, so if you don't have a wallet, you can just add your name to the list, and you'll be included in this special pre-mint mint to cohort, and you'll get all these extra benefits in the mint bundle and all this other great stuff that we talked about. So thank you. Long live the X, and Loyal Doyle, man, unbelievable. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Love it.
Thanks, Doyle. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's regroup another time. Thanks everybody for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Peace out.
Peace out. Later, guys.
You got it. Long live